It's a time of year when all we want to do is curl up with a sweater on the needles. But we don't always want something so complicated that we can't knit while watching a movie, right? So for today's video, I'm sharing a list of sweater and cardigan patterns that are easy and relaxing while still keeping that little spark of fun, whether it's an interesting construction, stripes, or an extra detail, so they don't feel boring. Now get comfy and let's dive in. Hi there and welcome, my name's Luisa, but everybody calls me Lu. Cozy sweaters, minimal effort and maximum cozy vibes. That's the idea for today's video. Today is such a gloomy day outside that there's no other thing I'd rather do than lounge on the couch, watch a movie and work on my sweaters. So today I'm showing you easy but definitely not boring sweaters and cardigans that you can knit while watching your favorite show or sipping a cup of tea. And to kick off today's list of patterns, I'm going to start with what I'm wearing today. This is a stripe hype sweater by Veronica Lindbergh. I've just finished this and I've been wearing it almost every day since I took it out of my blocking mats. This is a drop shoulder construction, no short rolls, with stripes. There's just a little bit of twisted rib on the cuffs, hem and also the collar, with a little bit of, how does Stephen West say? A color opportunity or something like that on the cuffs and also the collar. I loved working on this sweater. It's such an easy and fun knit. This pattern is written for a DK weight gauge, but I changed mine for a fingering weight gauge, and I just know if I could, I would knit 10 of this. This is such a relaxing knit, but let's start with today's list of patterns, and the first pattern I'm going to show you today is the Mia sweater by Cherry Mokatari. This is a raglan construction with twisted rib details. The size range isn't the best, yes, but the designer said she's working on extending the sizing range, so at least there's that. I love the detail on the raglan sleeves and also on the bottom of the sweater. It looks like ribbing, but seeing it up close, it looks like just a mix of purl and knit stitches, so it must be really easy to knit. It looks very sophisticated and elegant, and I think this would be a perfect sweater to work on while lounging on the couch. And the second pattern of today's list is the Flax DK by Team Can Knits. This is the DK weight version of the sweater, but there are also two other versions. One is a worsted Aran weight gauge and the third one is a sock sport weight gauge. So lots of options to play around. This is a raglan construction, so pretty easy to keep track of while watching a movie, featuring stockinette stitch body and a garter stitch detail at the sleeves. I love this extra touch and this little design element. This is a free pattern, so I've already downloaded my copy and I've been thinking about knitting this sweater pretty soon, but we'll see. This is a wonderful option to work on while lounging on the couch. And the third sweater I selected is the Woodward. Woodward? Yeah, let's go with Woodward. This is tricky to pronounce. By Alicia Plummer. I couldn't find much info about this pattern, but it looks like a raglan construction with a lace detail at the bottom of the body and also next to the cuffs. The lace section looks pretty simple, so I think it's really easy to keep track of. It looks really feminine, but with a simple and still interesting detail to work on. And I love this option. I love the entire scene behind the photo shoot. I love her photo shoots. They're always so interesting. Oh, it makes me dream about being on a ranch. But this is the Woodward sweater by Alicia Plummer. Now let's go to something a little bit more different and introduce a little bit of color. This is the Double Date sweater by Winter's Weather Knits. I've tried to pronounce that thing many times, but I think it worked. This is a boxy and modern fit featuring a textured stripe. It looks like stranded color work, but the designer says it's not. You only work with one color at a time, which is perfect for couch knitting. I don't know how the stripes are worked, but people say it is really fun and it really easy to follow the pattern. It looks really fun. I love the dark background with fun stripes to add a different contrast than what we are used to see around the knitting world. Now let's go to something even more fun with the streamers by James and Watts. This pattern is featured in an issue of Pon Pon magazine, so there is an added cost to the pattern, but hear me out. This sweater is knitted sideways with really fun stripes worked in stockinette. It is knitted flat, so there's a little bit of seaming to do, but I think this is fun to work on something a little bit different sometimes. I said it is knitted flat, but I wonder if there's a way to knit it in the round, or at least some of it, and maybe try to avoid the seaming on either sides of the body. I don't know. This pattern had my gears turning. I love the light pink sample from the pattern photos. I loved it so much that I've already wrote down the colorway numbers they used in the sample because I want to knit a sweater using those 3 colorways together. And probably work on a streamer sweater because I love the idea of this pattern. I love the sample colors. The construction looks really simple with just stockinette knitted flat, but I think there's some room for creativity and a extra modification here and there, and maybe work it in the round or at least some sections of this sweater. I don't know, but this is a really fun idea and I really want to cast this on. This pattern is ruining my fall knitting plans. Now let's go to another free pattern, and this is the Daniela Pullover by Claudia Quintanilla. This pattern came out just a few weeks ago, and like I said, it is a free pattern worked in stockinette with a raglan construction featuring twisted stitches. I love twisted stitches, but it's also really easy to work on while watching a movie. I think the twisted stitches add an extra detail, but I think it also stops right under the arm. But I think I would carry it all the way down to the hem, and that way it could meet the twisted stitches on the hem, and I think it would add an extra touch that would be really interesting but also really easy to knit. This looks like an everyday piece to wear while lounging on the couch with a sweater on the needles while sipping a cup of tea and watching a movie on the background. Oh, I love the entire picture. And this is oddly specific, but that's where my mind is going right now with this sweater. I love this idea and I love using fun colors to work on this sweater, and it's a really good opportunity to use a yarn that really shines with this sweater being a all over stockinette body, and I love the idea of this sweater. Now let's go to something I think people have already seen around the knitting world, but this pattern really drags my attention, and I'm talking about the Weekender Light by Andrea Maury. This is the lightweight version of a worsted weight design she has, which is called the Weekender, if I'm not mistaken. The body is worked in reverse stockinette, which means the right side is the purl side, and the sleeves are worked in regular stockinette. So the right side is the knit side, and there's a ribbing detail at the shoulder, which is finished off with a 3 needle bind off. It is knitted bottom up, which is something interesting to work on something different sometimes. And I think it has a slipped stitch detail at the center. I don't know if it's a slipped stitch or not, but it looks like it. And there's also a split hem. I love split hems, although I've never knitted one, but I love the idea of split hem, and this looks like it's such a wearable and cozy sweater to have during fall. Oh, I love the idea of working on this pattern. Now let's go to another fresh release, and this is the Firth Sweater by Rebecca Clow. This is a top-down construction with satin sleeves. It features a ribbing detail around the shoulders and also under the arms. Like the designer says, this is a simple design with interesting details. Now, if there's one thing I love about Rebecca Clow patterns, is the variety of options she offers. This pattern comes in a DK weight and fingering weight gauge options, and it also offers bust shaping options, so I love that. I love this extra step she always takes with her patterns, and I love the photo shoot with the entire rainbow of colors from her test knitters, and I love this idea. I love the color samples, and this sweater looks so fun but also really easy to work on. Now let's pivot a little bit and talk about a cardigan. I have my eyes on the Midland Cardigan by Laura Penrose. This construction seems so interesting. I'm so intrigued by this design. This pattern is also ruining my fall knitting plans. For starters, this is knitted sideways. You first cast on stitches for the body, right next to the armhole. There's 2 options of a seamed or seamless construction. You work short rows to shape the shoulder cap, then shape the V-neck, go back to knit the back of the cardigan, The sleeves are worked in the round. It is garter stitch. It is really easy to keep track of, but the construction I think is the star of this pattern. It looks so interesting. I'm so intrigued by this. I think the construction will help keep the project really engaging, and I think this is a lovely option for couch knitting. Now going back to stockinette sweaters for a little bit, let me show you the eyelet loop sweater by Other Loops. This is a loose fit with a round neck, a simple stockinette sweater with drop shoulders and interesting details at the bottom of the body and also next to the cuffs. This detail features ribbing edges and a little bit of eyelet finished with garter ridges. I love the shoulder detail with the garter ridges. I also love the red sample. I'm always drawn to red samples. I love red. But I think this pattern would be really fun to work on. It is knitted top down, so after a few hours of working on the body, sometimes we get a little bit tired of working stockinette in the round. So I think this little detail with the eyelets and the ribbing at the bottom helps to bring a little bit of excitement back to the project, and this is a lovely project to work on. And there's also another pattern that really caught my attention, and this is the Rainy Day Pullover by Sarah Nordland. There's the Rainy Day Pullover and the Rainy Day Cardigan. I love both patterns. And this is a simple design with a raglan construction and a simple cable pattern going down the raglan stitches. I think this cable detail stops under the arm, but I think I would carry it all the way down to the hem. I think this would add a little extra detail, a little extra touch that would make this pattern even more special. This is a lovely first cabled project, just like the designer suggests. It looks really simple and relaxing to work on while watching a movie in the background. There's also a cardigan version that features a double knitting button band, if I'm not mistaken. You can have so much fun working on this project and also end up with a really wearable sweater in the end. I love this idea. And going back to cardigans a little bit, there's also the Leith Cardigan by Rebecca Clow. This is another pattern that really allows you to have fun and play with colors, texture and stripes. This is a dropped shoulder construction with a relaxed fit and a V-neck. It is knitted bottom up in stockinette. There's a little bit of intarsia worked at the back to alternate the stripes, but it is minimal and it looks really simple. If this would be your first time knitting intarsia, I think this pattern would be a lovely option. I've just knitted my first intarsia project and I feel really confident working on this Leith cardigan. Some people, instead of playing with colors with the stripes, chose to play with texture, and they use a regular wool for one of the stripes and a boucle yarn for the other stripes. And I love this idea. I love playing with textures, and I think this will be a lovely option for a relaxing and easy project to work on. And there's also one pattern that is really dragging my eye, and this is the Ciro Sweater by Moroccan Knit. This is an interesting construction. You first cast on stitches with a provisional cast on and work the back panel bottom up, and then you pick up stitches to knit both shoulders, join the two fronts and then join in the round. I love the split hem with a wide ribbing panel. I love this idea. It looks so modern and chic and elegant. There's also a split at the cuffs, which looks like a really deep split actually, and I love this idea. The shoulder detail looks really elegant, and this is basically stockinette with ribbing, so it looks so easy to work on, but so wearable and so elegant and chic. I love this pattern. And now let's go with something that I've already worked on. Let's talk about the Daily Stripes Cardigan by Veronica Lindberg. This pattern is featured in her latest book, the Knits to Wear book that I have here with me. I love this book. I love many patterns featured in this book, but today I'm talking about the Daily Stripes Cardigan, and I have knitted a Daily Stripes that I'll show you in a little bit, but this is a drop shoulder construction with a wide neckline opening. It is garter stitch knitted flat, so there's no purling on the body, but the sleeves are knitted in the round, so there's a little bit of purling on the sleeves, and the button band is double knit. I knitted mine out of a unspun yarn. I've used Eastex Plot Lopi in two different colorways. Let me see if I can show you the entire thing. I love these two colorways together, and I love wearing my Daily Stripes cardigan. This is such a cozy cardigan to wrap myself around when it's chilly outside. The button band is double knitted, And this is such a simple and easy knit, but you end up with something really wearable and really cozy. Now let's go back to sweaters and let me show you the last pattern that I have selected for today's video. This is the Set Pullover by Ozetta. This is, like many of her patterns, a really simple silhouette with a V neckline, drop shoulders and some I-cord edges. This pattern does have some short rolls to keep track of, and from the project photos that I've seen on Ravelry, the neckline looks like double knitting. I don't know if it actually is double knitting or not, but it looks like it. And from what I've seen, I think there's a little bit of seaming to do to join the back of the neckline and the back panel of the sweater, but it looks like a really small section. I love the neck detail at the front. And there's also I-cord edges, which means there's no ribbing to do, and I-cord is really easy to knit. This pattern has such a modern but everyday look. I love the idea of putting this on to go outside and run a quick errand. This is what I picture in my mind when I look at the pattern photos from the Set Pullover. And those are some of my favorite easy but fun sweaters and cardigans for this season. Let me know in the comments if you've knit any of these, or if you have your favorite easy but fun sweater I should check out. I'll be back soon with even more patterns and ideas to keep our needles moving, but in the meantime I post regular podcast episodes here on the channel every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks. Talking about everything I'm working on at the moment, and I also post other knitting related videos every time an inspiration sparks. Don't forget to subscribe in case you don't want to miss out on my cozy knitting updates. Give it a like, ring the bell, all those things YouTube likes I really appreciate, and until I see you on the next video, happy knitting, bye!